Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun, and this is our big Only Murders in the Building season 4 finale theory discussion where we have one big question we have to get into because this is the end of the season. We've
Mhm.
all watched this show. People die all the time in these finales. Who is going to die leading into season 5?
Absolutely. We have a list. We've been saying this for the past few videos, and we still feel this way that somebody is going to die at the wedding.
Yeah.
And, who could it be? Could there be multiple people that die at this wedding? I think there's going to be two. We shall see. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments for us. Who do you think is going to die in this finale? And do you think it's actually going to be at the wedding?
We are here to blow minds. We are here to break everyone's brains. Okay, we'll see if that actually happens. But no, we have some really fun stuff to try to get into and talk about here. And yeah, as you guys probably know, the show has already been renewed for
Yep.
season 5.
Yep.
There's nothing to be worried about there. There's no word as of yet as to whether or not it's going to be the final season. I hope one way or another we find out about that before it premieres because I need time to emotionally prepare.
Yeah, I feel like before the whatever is the final season starts, they will let us know. They're not going to just be like, "And we're done."
Okay, well,
Jazz hands. No, they're not going to
no.
do that.
Okay, before we get into all of this crazy stuff, be sure to hit that subscribe button because, yes, we will be back, of course, with coverage of the Only Murders in the Building finale. But wait, there's more. We have a lot of really exciting murder mystery content coming through
Yep.
the rest of this year, including Before, which is a very promising new Apple TV Plus show that stars Billy Crystal. The second season of Bad Sisters is
Yep.
coming later this year. And also in December is the premiere of Dexter Original Sin, the prequel that has been hyped up. We are both huge Dexter fans. We have seen many seasons, perhaps multiple times.
I even had a Dexter party that Matt threw for me. It was awesome.
Made a drink called the Bay Harbor Butcher, and also another drink that's name I cannot say on the channel.
It was a surprise where Matt would go up and throw a piece of licorice in somebody's drink.
Listen, I love dokes. I am not going to deny any of that. No, but make sure you're subscribed so you guys don't miss any of this coverage. It's coming down the line here.
Also, over on our Patreon, we are covering exclusively over there the Penguin, and also we're going to be covering Landman, which is
Yep.
going to be coming up soon, and Dune Prophecy. So if you're interested in any of those shows, the only place you can get reviews for them weekly is over on our Patreon. We'll leave a link for you below. And thank you so much to everyone who has joined.
Thank you guys so much. We really, really appreciate that.
Okay, so let's say
Okay.
that this murder is going to happen at the wedding. So we know that the wedding is going to be at the Arconia.
Yeah.
This is Oliver, and I know that while he's only had a short time to get this planned and get this together, I think it's still going to be a big, beautiful affair. I think lots of
Yes.
people are going to be invited to it. We're going to have, I'm sure the acting trio will be there. People from the building, his son, her son. Like
Yeah.
there's going to be people that are going to be there. So
For sure.
who could die and how many people? Now, I actually think this is my tinfoil hat
All right. All right.
that we're going to lose two,
Ooh.
but one of them is going to make it through. I
Okay.
think that Oliver is going to be one of the people that is killed, and we're going to see him sort of bleeding out or whatever's going to be happening. This is going to be the big cliffhanger. Is he going to die or not? And
Yeah.
he won't, but it won't be great. And that the other person will be Loretta. It's just going to be absolutely
Oh.
devastating, and that both of them are going to end up getting her killed, him almost killed.
That is going to be a just pull out your heart and stomp on it sort of ending to this season.
Yeah.
But I think
I
there's-
want them to, I think they want us to worry, like really worry.
they want us to worry, and they're probably going to want to swing for the fences. I think a really important thing to remember here, as much as none of us want to see Loretta killed off,
No.
Meryl Streep is one of the most famous actors alive. Like, presumably, there's only so long you're going to be able to keep someone like that unless you give them really great material. And something that I think is a guiding principle for both of us really and kind of coming up with theories here is that whoever dies is going to get a lot of screen time
Yes.
next season. You're going to have to do a lot of stories sort of examining why this happened, how this happened, and they're not going to give that to a character or an actor who's not that notable. So having it be Loretta at this point, there's still a lot we don't know about her. It's a great opportunity to explore that. And yeah, they give us a full year to basically freak out about whether or not Oliver is going to make it.
Yes, and it also gives Martin Short some really emotional material next season. We know that he can be funny. He's funny every season, but the stuff with Oliver and his son that we saw so early on was so emotional. And I mean, we don't get to see that side of Martin Short a lot.
Yeah.
And we haven't got to see it a lot on this show, but what they have given us has been so good that I could see them giving us something really like nice and deep and juicy for him like this, where, you know, his own life is like really in danger. And I know that he was like, oh man, I was in between these two people that got shot this season, my life, but you know, nothing actually happened to him. So I could see them having something actually happening to him where he really has to face like life or death. And the trio does now too, where Charles's best friend, you know, something has happened. Mabel's old, something has happened, like something really deep. I think that's what's going to happen.
And I think the real appeal for them about doing something around a wedding in particular, and I know shows like The After Party and others have done this before, but the reason why it's a very popular venue for a murder mystery is you basically have dozens of suspects all in one room on the other side of it. So no matter who goes, you're going to have all these different people. You'll have an opportunity to bring them back, work with them. And we know there's nothing more that this show loves than guest stars.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next person that I think is a really good chance of being the person who gets killed is Jan. I think Jan is going to just straight show up at this wedding, uninvited, as she does to things. But because she has connections to season 1, and we know that there is this bigger overarching, you know, connection to season 1 from the trio of actors that had mentioned that bringing her in to have her be the murderer the first season and then the person who's killed if this is the final season makes it this really nice big circle around. And I think also because we had that news brief about the dry cleaner that's connected to the family, like it was so weird that they focused on that, and we both feel that that is going to be part of the next season. Jan being in prison, she's probably had some sort of connection to somebody who's part of that family, and that's how that would then all connect throughout season 5. I think that there's a really good chance that Jan is the person who's gone from killer to kill-e.
Okay, out of all the theories, to me, this is the one that's just the most fun. If I'm just thinking in terms of what could the show do the most big, crazy things with? Like, you could cast anybody under the sun to be some weird criminal who Jan met behind bars. You can really go for it, and sort of this season is the exploration into, you know, Saz as a stunt person. We then have Jan in the overall criminal world where there's always an element of danger around the trio. Like there's just a lot of potential there for them to explore, especially if it is a final season. I mean, I gotta think that Amy Ryan's gonna be down to come in and play like something that meaty.
Well, yeah, and I mean, she's out there still, so it feels like she's gonna be back in some shape or form, and I think she wouldn't miss a chance to be at the wedding.
No, there's nothing that Jan likes more than having everything be about Jan.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other people that could be people at the wedding that could go. I mean, like an Uma, she's connected to season 1. She's a nosy bee like me, or Howard. He's also a nosy bee like me and has all these secrets and information also connected to season 1. But I think it's got to be a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah, like I think the only way
or Lester, if he didn't do it.
Lester, you are the big bad. You are the 6th Avenue slasher. You're behind everything, and you're trying to keep the secret of all the bodies that are buried there. You are not going to die. We need you to be alive. But
19 bodies to be exact.
No, I really think here that Howard is just somebody who's really beloved by the audience. Like they could take him out because of that, and then
and really hurt us.
Yeah, they could really hurt us, and then they could dive into maybe a lot of the sort of secret stuff that he knew about the building and people that he wasn't telling the trio about for X, Y, or Z. Maybe he didn't think it
Yeah.
was important.
Or how he's a librarian and has this apartment that is millions of dollars.
know.
He has so many secrets that if they kill off Howard, we know that we'll end up getting a really good Howard season where we
Yeah.
will start to really learn about him.
I would be excited for that. I mean, I'll admit at the same time, I think they're going to try to keep Howard alive as long as possible because Howard is Mr. Red Herring. I think if they get rid of Howard, they get rid of the person everyone has always thought was Moriarty, and then that's
Right.
a little less exciting for them.
Yeah.
Okay, now the theory I want to try to present here is it's tied in some ways to what we talked about last week in the theory video with Mabel's aunt, because I think Mabel's aunt is going to be the next person who dies. But I don't want to necessarily just go in and, hit all the same beats that we've already talked about. So what I want to do instead is talk a little bit more about the how, because this is something I figured out over the past 24 hours or so. So there's either going to be one of two ways that Mabel's aunt is taken out here. Either she's going to finally hear all this buzz about Mabel having a hard time finding a place to live and realize, maybe it wasn't a good thing for me, a very rich, wealthy person, to just, tell Mabel she had to leave and offer no assistance at all in trying to help her find the next place. Like, it comes across as just really cold. I mean, Mabel's aunt's not obligated to help, but I'm just kind of shocked that she didn't seemingly do anything. So she might come back around the wedding to do something in relation to that. I mean, it's hard to really say whether or not she's actually going to be at the wedding, but I could see her being around the wedding in that capacity. But let's go another possibility for a moment here. I think more than likely, like you've said, the person who dies is going to be at the wedding. But if they don't want to do that, if they want to do something similar to season 2, where we had a big time jump of around a year, bringing us into Ben Glenroy and all of that sort of stuff, I could see the show being like, okay, we want to get on the other side of this movie because we don't want another season to be about the movie. So let's say, hypothetically, they make the movie with Saz's original script. It gets filmed maybe 6 months from now, 8 months from now. The movie comes out. They have a big film premiere, and that's where we're going to jump forward in the new season. It's going to be around the film premiere. Everybody's going to be there, a big New York event, and maybe Mabel's aunt is one of these people, and we've all known people like this, where as soon as you're really famous, as soon as you're up there in the lights, oh, here comes Mabel's aunt out of nowhere, being like, hey, buddy, old pal, remember me? I let you stay at my apartment so you could fix it, and then I sold it, and then I didn't help you find anywhere else to live. Well, I think she could show up at that point. They get us to the other side of the movie storyline, but maybe she's waiting for Mabel when she gets back from the premiere, but somebody kills her before that really happens. And I think the appeal to me for this is pretty simple. It's that Mabel's aunt knows a lot about the history of the Arconia. It's a way to loop in a big bad, especially if the big bad, Lester, had some sort of relationship with her. But it's also fulfilling the idea of, okay, you get to bring in another really big name guest star like you did Paul Rudd, whether this is going to be, a Penelope Cruz, a Salma Hayek, take your pick. But it's an opportunity for them to bring in another big name, get to the other side of the story this time around, and maybe set up a few new things that sort of show where the trio are moving forward. So if you're going to do a time jump, that's kind of the way that you do it. And the only other reason I would want that is I just want Oliver and Loretta to be happy. You guys don't need to kill somebody at their wedding.
I also just feel bad if it's going to be Mabel again. Like, she had to deal with the death of Tim Kono, which she was really tied to. She's the person that found Bunny, dead, blood all over Mabel. She's also now going to walk in and her aunt is also dead. Like, it's a lot that Mabel has been going through. And we've seen her progression too, of like, or regression of going kind of downhill as she's been like, these murders have been, a lot of them have been really connected to her.
Yeah, I just still have a lot of questions about Mabel's backstory that I would like to see explored a little bit. Like, why was there, it seemed like there was maybe tension between her aunt and her sister. Like, what's going on there? Who would want her gone? I mean, I think no matter who it is, they can probably find a way to finagle Mr. Dry Cleaning King or whoever that was meant. They're going to finagle that into the story in some shape or form. But I think in general, they're going to want to have this either be a big name or somebody we really, really know and love so that we pull a reaction. Because I know what happens with these shows the longer they go. Everybody is just suddenly like, oh, it's tired now. It's the same thing. It's not as good anymore. And then when the show ends, everybody's going to be mad and they're going to be like, oh, they ended this too soon. Well, then don't complain about it while it's on.
I'm actually wondering if Big Mike is going to have a role with this as well, that maybe he's going to be connected to this dry cleaning king in some sort of way. We had that whole episode with, Doreen, and it was narrated by Big Mike, who we saw for a second at the end of it. And usually if you're narrating an episode, you have a bigger role to play. And he did not have any bigger role to play this season.
Let's stay parked on that for a moment, because you just brought up something really, really interesting. Is that if you're talking to Melissa McCarthy to get her on the show, maybe you are like, okay, you'll get an episode or two this season. But then next season, you're going to have something way, way, way bigger. Do you want to say yes to that?
Right.
I could see that. I mean, I'll admit, Big Mike, even when you said Big Mike, it took me a second to even really figure out who you were talking about.
Well, yeah, it was such a that whole episode was just strange in general. But the idea that he was narrating that episode, I was like, okay, could he be somebody who could die in the finale? Maybe. I mean, it may not be a big enough death that us as the audience is going to care by season 5. But could he be in some way connected to the killer or have information about the killer? Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's possible. We just don't know anything about him. It was such a weird episode.
It was such a weird episode. The whole dry cleaning bit on TV was really, really weird.
Yeah, it feels like those two things might be connected next season. I don't know that he's going to be the victim. I don't think so. But I think he might be connected to that whole ring.
Well, and the only murders writers we trust, because clearly they've had a lot of plans that they've built up for a long period of time. I'm sure they've been flexible with certain stuff here or there, but I think there has always been a pretty, I don't want to say written in blood, but a pretty written idea as to where they're going, how this is going to end, who the big bad is. So we are gradually approaching it.
Yeah, I just think because we have to be coming near the end, I don't think we're going to have Only Murders in the Building season 21. This isn't NCIS.
I know.
But I do think that the murders are going to continue to be more personal. I don't think we're going to get another like Ben, where it was kind of like it was a tiny bit personal, but not really to Loretta and what was going on there. But like that whole thing wasn't nearly as personal as Saz, that it feels like going forward in season 5, it's got to be personal, I think, to the Arconia. I think whoever ends up dead or almost dead, like it's going to be like an Oliver or a Howard or a Jan or an Uma or Lester if he's not the killer. It's going to be somebody who's really intertwined into this building and into its lore, and that it's, I don't think it's going to be, it's not going to be a Big Mike, but I do think Big Mike is going to be connected some way to the dry cleaning king.
I'm really excited to see what they do. I'm a little bit nervous just because I want you guys to stick the landing, get us really, really excited. I'm also just sad because we're near the end of this season, but we'll see what they have that they've come up with. Maybe they'll surprise all of us, but for now, who do you guys think is going to be taken out? Is it going to be more than one person? Is Jess's theory outright that, maybe they're going to make us think that they're getting rid of Oliver? They're going to go out of left field. Let us know in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, because in addition to all our Only Murders coverage, we also have coming up great murder mysteries before Bad Sisters, Dexter Original Sin. And if you support us further, join us over at Patreon, because we are covering exclusively there the Penguin, and coming up, both the Landman and then also
Dune Prophecy.
There you go. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you here next time.